All right, welcome to the Low Guys, and today we have Pierce Walker from the Growth with Tacos podcast, who's going to be here to share his points of view. What do you got on the low for us today, Pierce?
So Trump has fired, the most recent 5 lawyers to his defense team are now no longer working on his defense team. And the official statement is that the decision was mutual. So Trump fired the most recent 5 lawyers of his defense team. Yeah. And this is in the 11th hour, as it were. The impeachment trial is less than 2 weeks away. And of note, though 2 of those lawyers in particular were very accomplished in the federal court systems. Basically, one would wonder if he's going to be able to get anyone better than them. Butch Bowers and Deborah Barber. So,
so this is in reference to the CNN article here that we're going to put in the description box.
Right.
It lists Butch Bowers, and you click on his name, and it brings up a whole bunch of stuff that he's done. Deborah Barber, too, is one of the 2 leads, man. The 2 leads. And they said it's a mutual decision. I've heard that before.
Exactly.
There's 3 other ones here in this article. Josh Howard of North Carolina, then Johnny Grasser and Greg Harris from South Carolina. All 3 of them are no longer involved with the case, quote unquote.
So this obviously does not bode well for one's defense if you're changing lawyers this late in the game. But past that, I think it's really just a reflection of Trump feeling the need to be in control of something. And who works under him or for him is something that he can control. So he has chosen to exercise that control by no longer employing those individuals.
Well, and what it is most likely, in my opinion, is they're approaching this in a damage control type of scenario. So
there is a little more reasoning to it. The lawyers did push back on Trump's. This is according to an unverified source. According to this source, Trump wanted these lawyers to basically make the case that the election was fraudulent, that the election was stolen, and that's why he should not be impeached. And that counsel didn't want to touch that. They thought that the better, much more likely to be successful attitude, or legal strategy, I should say, would be, hey, a sitting president, a former president has never been impeached before. This is completely unprecedented. The United States has never decided to jail up foreign national leaders. So we shouldn't do that now. And there's actually a lot of good reasoning to think that that will be a successful legal argument. We are not, I want to say, one of those countries that has a history of doing that, and for good reason. So if a new administration is able to jail the previous administration, then that sets a terrible, terrible precedent that usually results in people dying in other nations that it's been tried. And by people dying, I don't just mean like 1 or 2 people. I mean like in the streets, people dying. So that's usually not how you want a peaceful transfer of power to occur. And there is a lot of reason to think, like, besides just that impactful argument of it, the end result, that there is legal framework for that to legally be the case as well. Now, I'm not a educated lawyer on those legal frameworks, but I've been assured by people that are that they exist.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is with the whole going to trial, that's never happened.
Right.
Another first. Trump is the king of the first, good or bad, he'll pull them out. And so, again, like you're saying, it's a dangerous precedence where we're going to have. So you can't put a sitting president on trial, but now we're going to, and a former one, of course, now. But these are for crimes committed during his presidency. So I think it has precedence to actually move forward with impeachment. So there's no lingo in there.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier of like a lot less controversial of a court decision if these were for crimes committed either before or afterwards. But the fact that they were during the presidency gives a lot of people and even constitutional scholars reason for pause.
Yeah, man, it's a first time for everything, and here we are. We've done a whole bunch of firsts.
Indeed.
The first attack on the Capitol since the 1800s, or is it 1800s or 1700s?
I think 1812.
1812. Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little bit ago. 209 years, math and all. But yeah, so Trump once again is his own worst enemy, and you're fired is going to be his downfall. As much as it was his upswing, it's also his downfall. Firing some of the best what do you consider these guys are constitutional lawyers? I guess is what they'd be.
I don't know if they specialize in constitutional law, but they've been working in the federal court system for decades. Mm-hmm. They're extraordinarily accomplished in both prosecuting and defense.
So who's he going to get? That's interesting.
One would wonder if there is someone better in the wings waiting that's also willing to take the job.
Well, that's the thing. If they were already on the team.
A lot of people think that. Yeah.
Your first 5 should be your top 5. That will take the job too. Some people don't want their hands to touch this thing as being one of the filthiest moments in our political history. So yeah, I'm the guy that defended the guy who got who got impeached twice, and who knows what'll come of it. But I'm interested.
I think one thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, like just average people aren't talking about, is how Trump reprimanded Pence on Twitter for not reading results that would have put him, Donald Trump, as the next president-elect. So yeah, it's one of those deleted tweets, but I would say that right there is actually the biggest smoking gun that you would have to basically try Trump for an attempted coup. I think that a lot of his public statements that sparked the storming of the Capitol, I think that a lot of people could interpret them subjectively and in a favorable light towards Trump. And I think that there's a very real possibility that you might not be able to nail him down on it. But I think that the single tweet that he gave reprimanding Pence for not reading results that made him the president-elect, I think that is clear cut as day a coup. And it's not a sexy coup, which is why the news isn't talking about it. There's no video of someone stirring a crowd or a riot or any of that. It's not a sexy coup, but it was absolutely an abuse of his authority and accordingly very illegal. So I think that tweet right there is going to become blown up during the trial because it's not sexy for news networks to be talking about it right now. But I think at some point the prosecutor is going to bring it up. And I think people will, at that point, go, hey, wait, yeah, that did happen. And that's a problem.
That might be his nail in the coffin, huh?
Yeah, I think, Al Capone, right? You didn't get Al Capone for all the crime and murder and what that he endorsed. You got him for tax evasion, right? It's the mundane things that will often actually get someone behind bars. It's what you can prove, right? And in my opinion, that one's pretty cut and dry.
Well, and here's the other thing is all the senators do not want this going to trial, and they do not want witness testimony.
45 senators, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. So they don't want witness testimony because if they bring in horned head dumbass guy, right, or any of these other whack jobs are in there, and they say
who has agreed to testify against Trump, by the way.
Exactly, and say, were you storming the Capitol? Was that a direct responsibility of Donald J. Trump only? His words only? No, of course not. There's also Senator Hawley has said stuff. Vice President Pence said stuff. This person let us in the back door. They're all going to be under some serious scrutiny. Ted Cruz stood up for us, and we said, that's another bold statement. We're coming in. So they're all the ones that are, I'd say, adjacent participants, if you will, in insurrection and stoking the flames, if you will. Their ass is going to be in a sling, especially Howley and that Greenlee, what the hell ever her name is, the QAnon lady.
Maybe.
They're in trouble.
That actually does beg the question, right? If Trump is held liable and guilty for his words that caused the storming of the Capitol, then are others subsequently going to be held? You would think that standard would be applied. And there are a lot of people currently still in positions of power that don't want that to happen. Right. Trump is no longer in a federal position of power. He has influence, but he is no longer in a federal position of power. And a lot of people, like the way that DC has worked for centuries is basically, even if you and I don't like each other, we'll try to make sure that we stay out of jail. It's been like the always, like, at minimum we'll watch each other's back to that point, right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then like the knives get pulled out and it gets ugly real quick, right? So even these people, those names that you just mentioned, there's a lot of people that I think are willing to pull the influence that they have to make it so that doesn't happen. And that's just another reason why I think that the trying to nail Donald Trump as being guilty for the things he said and the impact of those, I think that is going to have a more difficult time to stick in court than most Democrats are thinking. I think it's going to have a lot more difficulty sticking in court than most Democrats are thinking.
Yeah, I don't think his words were directly responsible that day of, personally.
I mean, we have 4 years, I guess, of behavior.
Right. But they're trying to say that that day he said this thing on that stage and this and that. He didn't say break the window. He didn't say threaten to hang the vice president and all that stuff. He didn't say it directly. And that's going to be that's going to be the defense. He didn't say that. You can interpret it any way you want to.
Right. He said go there, but did he say
peacefully? He said peacefully too. Yeah. But to me, they also have Charles Manson, who just died in jail for something similar.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Well, Charles Manson got all these people to murder a family, got them all whacked out on drugs, and told them that they're part of the big brother that's going to try and take them down and blah, blah, blah. They're coming for your freedoms. And they murdered those people back in the day. So just like John Wallace standing before all the Scots going to fight the English, rah, 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 let's go. Right. I know it's not the same. It's not apples to apples, but it is in the same ballpark.
Sure.
So, of course, I hate Donald Trump's every breath. And I'd like to just see him go down in history as the biggest loser of all time. That's his biggest fear, is being known as a loser. And he lost. And this would be the nail in the coffin on him. But I got to be real about the law. The law says, as far as I understand it, you have to, freedom of speech applies as long as it doesn't incite violence, as far as a violent act. I can't say, Pierce, go stab your roommate or your neighbor, and you do it. Like you can't do that. Or, yell fire in a theater kind of thing. So, again, that's why I think we need a 21st century Bill of Rights, be an updated amendment for the Constitution for online activity, online speech. So, I don't know. We'll see how this goes, man. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to not mention Trump in the news again. That's one of my favorite days going to be. I'm looking forward to it.
It will be interesting, and I encourage everyone to be as polite with all the Trump supporters and former Trump supporters, because they're going through a tough time. A lot of them held Trump up as a savior, really, and something larger than life than he was. And it's difficult to see your savior fail. And it's difficult to see your savior be potentially persecuted, if that's your view. And right. A lot of those people are going to be lashing out in their confusion. So I encourage, don't poke the bear. be polite and kind to one another. And hopefully justice is served in the courts. This is a very unprecedented circumstance. Yeah. So what justice is not something that actually has a legal precedent, to my understanding. And it is ultimately going to be up to the Senate to decide.
Well, I also think this is how you make a domestic terrorist.
Yes.
Grow. We can't do that. That's how Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah and all those people get control, by fanning the flames of injustice and saying, oh, this is wrong. We were wrong. Look what these people are doing to us. And it just gets the guy that's being kicked on the floor is the one that gets people to feel sorry for him. So let's not kick the guy on the floor. Let's just let him get dragged out of the bar now. It's okay.
Yeah.
Fight's over. He's done. Drag his ass outside and be done. Don't kick him anymore. It's over. You won the fight. And that's how you get people on your side, by showing mercy, by showing some sympathy, by showing humanity. These are our fellow Americans. As much as you disagree with them or dislike them, I don't like most of them or agree with most is a fair way of saying it. But we have to find a way to move forward. And I don't know how the hell we're going to do it, honestly.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
And also, I think in part, if you are able to ensure basically everyone has food on their plate, then that'll go a long way, right?
Yeah.
Biden had promised $2,000 in stimulus checks as one of his first priorities, and that still hasn't happened yet.
Day one was the promise.
there's still a lot of people hurting. So,
and now they're trying to say 14 because President Trump put a down payment of 600. Bitch, that's not what you said. There's Biden's on record in Georgia. Come on, man, do your job. Here's my thing: it should be reoccurring payments to begin with, like every other developed nation in the world has done. Reoccurring cash payments. They're saying he gave us a down payment 2 months ago. We'll give you the rest of it later, and that should be okay. No, it should be $2,000 every single month during this pandemic until it's over with. And I would say 90 days beyond that, just to be safe. In case you have another spike, go your asses back home, shut it down. We got to do it again. We're going to keep doing it until we get it right. If you can't just herd immunity means 3 million dead people. 3 million dead people. We're just now over 400,000, and look how bad it's been.
I have very expansive opinions on what the government should have done in regards to, herd immunity and lockdowns and stimulus and supplements and all that. I think will likely make this video far too longer. But yes, I do agree with your general statement of the government. If you're going to force someone to not work, then you need to be able to pay them to not work.
Yeah,
I think that's as clear as day.
We can't fix the past problems. We can definitely make it right today. The best time to plant a tree, 20 years ago. The second best day is today. Make it right today, Biden, Congress, you freaking hacks.
Do your jobs.
Do your damn jobs. It's not that hard. I mean, it just isn't. A single line item. Tulsi Gabbard had it right the first time. 3-page bill. I'm Tulsi Gabbard. This is what I say. Second page, $2,000 reoccurring till the pandemic's over. Third page, sign here. That's the whole bill. That's what we need. Even Republicans will get on board with that. You want to be bipartisan, you dumbass. It's just that simple. Argue about the rest of the shit next week. Three months? They're talking about March, April? You might get out by March or April. Man, kiss my ass. You've got to be kidding me.
It's kind of boggling to think that this is the same nation that won World War II, right? I think our government needs to relearn how to be efficient.
It's also the same country that lost Vietnam War will never admit it.
Unfortunately, and we didn't have to lose that one either. That's the damnedest thing. We definitely didn't have to lose it, but we absolutely did.
But yeah, I would love to hear what other people think about this in the comment section. If you know more about this whole Senate process, can Trump fire his lawyers? And what if he can't find another representation? Some hack is going to take the job just for notoriety. But let's say, for argument's sake, he fires them on the stand. Who knows? Can they still proceed? Is this a delay tactic? I'm not sure what the stipulations are.
Good question.
Is it a delay tactic to, okay, we got to wait. Does he have to be given 30 more days to find a representation? I just don't know. So if you guys know any more about this than us, which, neither one of us are lawyers, I'm a therapist, put it in the description box or in the comment section below. And if you want to read the whole article, it'll be in the CNN article, be in the description box as well. And where can people find more stuff from you, Pierce?
Growth with Tacos YouTube channel. Yep, just myself and a few other friends, John Marco, and you've seen a few others. We just shoot the wind, enjoy some tacos or a beer.
Yes.
It's a good time.
That's a good time. All right, guys. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. And like always, gang gang.